Welcome to InTheVortex.Party, your live virtual hot seat podcast for manifestation masters looking to milk reality for everything it's worth. I'm your host, Nick Bro, and I'm here to help you find out where the law of attraction is going wrong so you can get it right. If you'd like to join in our next live call, register at http://InTheVortex.Party. All right, so welcome everybody. Let's go ahead and get started. I think this is our fourth InTheVortex.Party call, 8th or 9th if you factor in the group coaching calls as well beforehand. So again, welcome. The format for tonight's call again is the same as the previous nights. We're going to start off by talking about a specific topic. Tonight's topic is the top sources of resistance as requested by Gabby last week. After that, we're going to move into the Q&A. I ask you, of course, to keep your microphones muted until the Q&A section. And then in the Q&A section, if you do have a question, there should be a little hand icon somewhere to put your hand up to ask a question. I'll unmute you at that time. If for some reason you can't find the hand button, just kind of like wave or post something in the group chat that you've got a question and hopefully I'll see you. So again, welcome to the call and let's get started. So last week we talked about momentum, right? The different types of momentum, the sources of momentum. And the golden nugget of the call was that when you have a desire that you want to manifest, you don't have to create momentum to make that desire come to you, right? So law of attraction, everybody thinks you have to make vision boards and do a whole bunch of things to attract the desire. Once your intent is properly set, that desire is coming to you at full force, right? But the reason it doesn't show up is because you're putting your foot on the brake, right? We're the ones that are stopping that desire from coming to us, and we do that through the resistance. So the resistance is what's slowing us down. So if you were at a purely non-resistant place, your desires would show up almost instantly, right? So the key to manifestation isn't about trying to figure out how to attract your desire. It's to try to figure out what you're doing that's preventing that desire from showing up. Make sense? And again, I'd like to ask you guys to keep your microphones muted through the call. So I created a list of what I believe is the top 5 sources of resistance based on what I see in my clients, as well as, from what I get from what Abraham teaches. Now, we had some fun last week trying to guess what major sources of resistance were. So I thought it'd be fun again to do the same thing and see if you could remember what answers we had last week. So go ahead maybe and type in the group chat what you believe to be, a major source of resistance, right? Or wave your hand and I'll unmute you for a second. So let's see if you guys can identify those top 5 that I have listed here. Okay, so I see negative emotions. So that's one of them. Beliefs, that's 2. What else? Got 2 out of 5 so far. Go ahead, Andrea.
Looking at what's not there, focusing on the lack.
Yeah, I'll put that under observing your current reality, right?
Yeah.
So lack in your reality and you keep observing it, you're going to create more of it. Okay, good one. So you got 2 left. The how, paying attention to what is. Effort. Okay, so yes, effort, right? Not getting into the receiving mode, right? And the reason most people aren't getting in the receiving mode is because they're efforting too much. And then the last one is one I haven't mentioned before. I'll give you guys a few more seconds, see if anybody can figure it out. Lack of trust, no. Can you repeat the fourth? The fourth one is not getting into the receiving mode.
The third.
And we're going to go through all of
people today.
Okay, so the last one, and this is one of the big ones that very few people consider, is stop resisting the resistance. Right? resistance is put on our path by our inner being to help gain new awareness and raise our vibration to take us closer to what we want, right? And we're going to get into that. So again, I'm going to list the top 5. So the first one, stop resisting resistance. The second, emotions, right? Emotions, the one that I talk about the most because most people are unaware of the emotional aspects. Most people are unaware of the emotions they're carrying, right? We used that dishwasher analogy in the past. The third, too busy observing unwanted current reality circumstances, right? So if you keep observing your lack of money, if you spend more time observing your lack than observing your abundance, then you're going to have a dominant experience of lack. The fourth, not getting into the receiving mode. And the fifth is what I call your convincibility factor, right? And that's belief. Right? So those are the top 5 based on what Abraham teaches and based on what I see on my clients. So I'm going to go through each of them really quick. So the first, stop resisting resistance. This is what Abraham talks about, step 5, right? Being okay with your resistance, being okay with what is. The more you push against what you have going on that's unwanted, the more you're putting focus on it, and the more you're going to get stuck in that circumstance, right? So I tell people to move beyond the contrast that they're in. You have to become okay with the contrast that's there, right? As uncomfortable as it is, you want to work on being comfortable with it, right? And once you become comfortable with it, it becomes easier to move past it, right? The more you would push against it, the more you're going to create more of it, right? What you resist is going to persist, right? And a big part of moving away from that is trying to get off the topic. Make sense? The second is emotions. And I feel like I'm kind of beating a dead horse on the emotions topic because this comes up pretty much every call, right? But there's a reason that 80 to 90% of the work I do with my clients is emotional work, is tapping work, is clearing work, right? It's because everybody's got emotional baggage, especially dominant negative emotions that are in your attraction point, keeping you stuck or attracting unwanted circumstances and you don't know it's there, right? So again, childhood, traumas, we pick up emotions and we have them so long we don't realize that they're there, right? Similar to turning on that dishwasher in the kitchen. You hear the dishwasher for the first 30 seconds, you don't notice it after that, but it's still running and it's still making a noise, right? The same thing is going on with our emotions. It's what pulls us down on our vibrational scale, right? It's the reason it's hard to get happy. And it's the thing that once you clear it, you're going to experience the biggest vibrational shift, right? Third, observing your current reality circumstances. Okay, this is particularly difficult with topics such as money, right? Because money is always in our face, right? So the key there is practicing controlling your focus point, right? Identifying how you feel, trying to deal with the emotions that cause you to focus on the lack or the unwanted circumstances, working on moving away from those, right? Doing a lot of positive aspect lists, right? And again, getting out ahead of it, right? So doing some momentum work in the morning to feel good, right? The better you feel, the less chance you have at focusing on the negative aspects, right? So if you can start the day feeling good and stay there, you're going to have less of a tendency on focusing on your lack. But the main point with the observing current reality, again, is working to control your focus, right? Abraham calls it, or Esther says, stop being a sloppy thinker, right? And this is probably the part of the top 5, that's the one that takes the most amount of practice. Okay. The fourth one on the list, again, not getting into the receiving mode. And the biggest culprit to that is too much efforting, right? So if you run a coaching business and you're trying to attract clients, it's not just outer world action in terms of, spending the whole day creating ads and creating blog posts and creating videos and trying to do everything you can to attract clients. It's also about letting go of the mental efforting, right? So if you're sitting on your couch all day thinking about clients and thinking about how you're going to attract them and thinking about how to grow your business, you're in that state of efforting that is counter to being in the state of allowing, right? And a lot of people, I think Abraham says that we're efforting 60 to 70% too much, right? So how do you move away from efforting, right? It's about learning how to be just present, right? Being so focused on what you're currently doing that your thoughts don't go trailing off on, well, how am I going to get clients, right? Because we have a tendency to focus on our problems and wanting to fix them, right? So activities such as, mountain biking, right? Puzzles, cooking, right? Painting, housework, things that you do that totally draw you in, sports especially, right? Where it requires so much focus while you're doing it, you can't think about something else at the same time, right? Abraham says to meditate for 15 minutes a day and put yourself in a place of non-resistance, right? No thought. Most people can't do that. Most people can't turn their mind off for 15 minutes straight. But sitting down and doing a puzzle, if all of your focus is on the puzzle, right? Or making a big batch of chili, if all of your focus is on making the chili, cutting the vegetables, mixing everything, if all your focus is there, then you're in that same non-resistant state because your thoughts are purely on what you're doing and not on the things that you're lacking or want to change. Right? Does that make sense? Yeah. This is probably one of the biggest gotchas with most of my clients, right? They want something really badly, so they spend 80% of their time trying to do things to make that happen, right? But again, you earn through your vibration. The amount of clients you're going to get, the amount of money you're going to make is 100% vibrational, even though we live in a physical reality, right? I've manifested, acquisitions of a company and lots of money. And yeah, I worked 50, 60 hours a week. But when I go back and look at it, if I would have done half that amount of work, it was all vibrational. I can see clearly how it was all vibrational, right? And once you get that efforting step down and you notice things showing up with super ease, right? You'll build that confidence and trust knowing that it is vibrational. Right? And that's why Abraham promotes laziness. Even our conscious mind, most clients, I'll ask them, how do you measure your level of success? How do you measure whether you had a good day today or not? Right? Most people's answer is, well, I measure it based on how much I got done today and what I achieved. Right? But from a vibrational standpoint, that's not a good way to measure where you're at. Right? You should measure your success by how much joy you're having, how much fun you're having. Right? And if you can shift into that perspective and let go of the need to do things, you're going to get more into the receiving mode and more things are going to show up. Does that make sense? And again, the last topic is belief. And I call that the convincibility factor, right? So if you could wake up tomorrow morning being absolutely 100% convinced without a shadow of a doubt that you would win the lottery, you'd probably win the lottery, right? And, beliefs, there's a spectrum of beliefs you can look at, right? Beliefs of not being good enough or beliefs of fear of failure. We've talked about digging in the past, right? But it's not just beliefs that hold you back. It's also the beliefs around, do I believe this can happen? Do I believe this can show up, right? And the two ways to build your belief, one is focus wheels, right? And the second is stepping stones. So, if you're here financially and you want to manifest $10 million, right? That belief, so that's a big jump to make, right? And most people can't make that jump, right? But if you want to start off with trying to manifest, an extra $500 in a month, right? Or $1,000 a month. If that's more believable to your conscious mind, it's easier for that to happen, right? So if you can start with the smaller things, build your trust, right? Because you can only build trust through experience. I could sit here and tell you guys stories on end, but until you experience some of this stuff for yourself, it's very hard to trust, right? So again, look for that ease, that place, not necessarily the $10 million, but that place that feels easy and believable for you to reach for, right? And start reaching for that, right? And then move on to the next level and move on to the next level. Does that make sense? And again, these 5 things, they all impact your ability to manifest, right? So the more you clean up each one of those 5 things, the faster your desires are going to show up, right? Sometimes you can have 4 going right and 1 going horribly wrong, and it's going to completely block you, right? So you have to look at every one. But once all 5 of them are cleaned up, things can happen very, very fast, right? Make sense? All right, so that's all I've got for you guys for tonight. So we're going to hop into the Q&A. And again, you guys can ask questions about, this topic of resistance, or anything in general about law of attraction where you feel stuck, if you need some help. So let's just go ahead and get started. So use a little hand icon if you've got a question, or wave, or type something in the message box. So let's get started. So who's brave enough to go first with the question? Okay, go ahead, Ben.
Okay, this is perfect. I so like that you said, basically, chill out. Last night, because I work at night, and I often tap while I'm walking the halls of my hotel, doing what I need to do.
Yeah.
And I'm sure if my hotel owners were to ever look at the videos throughout the hallway, they'd wonder, what the heck is he doing? And last night it hit me, you need to chill out. You need to chill out, because I get very intense. About 2 weeks ago, I started playing with the idea of unexpected income. And within a week of that, I received 2 bits of unexpected income. Now, I just sort of said it to myself one time, like, oh, what if I get some unexpected income? And I didn't think about it at all.
Totally.
And of course, it happened twice.
And that's a perfect example that the momentum is always there, right?
Yeah.
Instead of your own.
So I was wondering if you could just talk a little bit more about the chilling out. Sometimes I find that a little hard to do, because especially right now, when I get the inspiration to take a particular action, like recently, over the past 2 days, I got inspiration about some things to learn for my coaching business, the business aspect of it, and also another thing that I'm working on. And so how do you balance following the inspiration for an action and not getting too intense about it, being able to chill out while you're doing it? Because,
Yeah, and anytime you're doing something that feels like effort, right? Like you're doing it to achieve something rather than doing it because it feels good and it's fun, then odds are you're acting out of effort and not out of fun. And that's kind of what you want to avoid. The hard part about chilling out is that we want to see progress in our business, right? We want to, find that relationship, right? And our conscious mind goes, okay, well, money's not going to make itself, right? Our conscious mind says, well, if I want a relationship, I got to hop on Tinder, right? It's not just going to find me, right? And that's because of, society's programming and based on what it seems like through our physical experience, right? But once you keep reminding yourself that I earn through my vibration, right? And once you start, the more you experience it, the more it reaffirms it within you, right? So I challenge people, take 4 weeks, so maybe the month of January, and commit to not doing anything to grow your business, not doing anything to attract clients. Simply set your intent on December 31st, and then spend the month of January being as chill as you possibly can, knowing that that's going to boost your vibration, right? And for me, some of my funnest manifestations happened when I did stuff like that. So a few years ago, I was efforting too much in my business. I was kind of burnt out. I needed a break. So the week before December, I said, you know what? I'm taking December off. I can't really afford it, but I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to trust that the universe is just going to make things work. So I took all of December off, went into vacation mode. And in the second week of December, I got this email, which looked kind of like one of those spam emails saying you have money. But I recognized in the email that The law firm, it was signed by the law firm that processed an acquisition transaction, 5 years prior. And ended up that there was money in an escrow account that I was never told was there, and it was a 5-figure amount. And it literally just showed up in my inbox. Didn't know it existed, just showed up out of the blue, right? Abraham told a story a few weeks ago with the Chicago seminar the weekend before Boston about somebody wanting to go to the seminar and finding a $9,000 diamond the week before, right? So things can show up, but again, it's about letting go and just trusting. And letting go, not just letting go and not trying to make things happen, but really letting go from a mental standpoint, right? I call it vacation mode because, if you go away on vacation, maybe down south, you can really feel, right, like you're on vacation, like you're disconnecting from reality, right? And that's that chill zone, right? That's what lets things show up. Does that help a little bit?
Well, the interesting thing for me is that the things that I got this inspiration to do have nothing to do with getting clients,
Yeah.
which before I would have thought would be kind of like weird because that's what I've been wanting to do.
Yeah.
A day ago, I realized all of it really is about me getting more clear about what I'm doing and why I'm doing it.
Absolutely.
And it will have a future positive effect, as well as the effect that it's having now. And I'm finding that my mind wants to jump from that space right over to, okay, I got to do this, and this too, So I'm like I'm trying to find my balance of doing the things that feel like the next logical step to do.
Yeah.
That feel good.
And that's
without also, hopping into this other.
Yeah, and that's where you want to tune into your inner being, right? And in the Boston seminar, she talked about doing too soon. So even when you download or manifest a really inspiring thought, she suggested holding on to that thought for a few days, maybe a week. Hold on to it until you get that feeling of I can't not act anymore, right? Because it gives an opportunity for the energy behind the thought to pick up some momentum and take shape. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah. So for you, I think it's a little bit of practice of tuning in and saying, okay, do I really need to act on this now? Am I acting out of desperation, or am I acting out of desire?
Well, these things feel like I'm acting out of desire, and
And does it feel
one thing
good?
that I'm really appreciating is that I can feel the difference now, whereas before I didn't necessarily feel the difference.
Yeah.
I can feel the difference between when I'm doing something and it really feeling good, and then starting to feel, I'm veering into a different feeling. I can feel that. I'm not quite yet as good as I'd like to be with not veering off,
Yeah.
which is kind of what I'm reaching for, staying in that, this feels really good, just do this bit and that's it, as opposed to starting to veer off into the other direction.
Yeah. And I would just
feel the difference.
Yeah. So it's good that you can feel the difference, and then try asking yourself, am I acting out of effort because I'm trying to make something happen? Or am I acting purely for the joy of acting because it's what feels good?
Sure.
Make sense?
I'm going to chew on that.
Good. Yeah. And other than that, just put on some good music and work on being chill. Good question. Thanks. All right. Next question. See some hands. Go ahead, Gail. There you go.
Okay. My question was in the chat box, where I'm really not fully understanding your description around point number 1, the stop resisting the resistance.
Okay. So if you have a situation that you don't want,
Okay.
such as, like most people, not enough money, right? If you resist not enough money, if you're resisting or fighting against or pushing against that circumstance in your life, you're going to keep propagating it, right? So from a vibrational standpoint, if you've got 5 things going on, right? Let's use money again as an example. So lack of money makes you feel stuck. Okay, so if you're in the vibration of stuckness or powerlessness, you're going to have a lack of money. So you're going to vibrate down here. If you've got 4 things going on that make you feel free and 1 thing that makes you feel stuck, if you're resisting the stuckness and putting all your focus on the stuckness, because as humans, we have a tendency to focus on our problems, right? So if you're putting all your focus on this guy, you're going to keep, that guy's going to persist. But if you've got 4 other things going on that bring the feeling of freedom, and you put all your focus on this, it's going to correct this guy automatically if you keep your focus off of it.
Okay, getting that, not understanding the difference between that and the third thing, observing the unwanted current reality.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing, right? Very similar. So if you keep observing a circumstance, you're going to keep getting more of it, right? So it's essentially the same thing. But again, you can also use that as to your advantage. So when we go for walks on the beach here, we usually go for a 15, 20-minute walk, and we'll usually find like 3 or 4 pieces of beach glass. And one morning or one afternoon, I was doing some journaling work, and I sat there and I just wrote the word abundance over and over again. Abundance, abundance, abundance. Feeling that energy, getting into the vibration of abundance, probably for maybe 10, 15 minutes. An hour after that, Anik, my girlfriend, asked me to go for a walk on the beach. So we went for our usual walk, and we came back and we both had huge handfuls of beach glass. Right? We had never found anywhere close to that amount of beach glass on the beach before. And that was purely because we got into that vibration of abundance, right? So if you're resisting a situation, you're staying in its energy, right? And if you're overly focused on a situation, you're staying in its energy. Right? So again, it's about trying to get off the topic, and feeling better about the topic by doing the emotional work is going to make it easier to get off that topic.
Okay, got it.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Go ahead, Gabby. I saw you hand up earlier. Yeah.
Hello. So, the last time I spoke in the last chat, I told you that some interesting things, I stopped efforting and some interesting things came to me, right, about the future work that I want to do. And that was really all amazing.
Yeah.
And then I started something a week ago, a job, like a Christmas job for about a month, for like a Christmas, DreamWorks, Christmas type thing. And that job I got back in summer. So it was kind of out of a situation of desperation where I was really afraid of, what's going to happen? I had nothing lined up. And I remember thinking, I would really like to have a job with children and something that goes on for a little bit longer, right?
Yeah.
So this thing showed up with DreamWorks, a Christmas type show and blah, blah, blah. And I auditioned for it and I got it. And it started a week ago.
Okay.
And then I got there, and then there was a misunderstanding in my head, which I don't know how that happened. I thought it was better paid than it actually turned out to be.
Okay.
So I misread something about bonus payment, that instead of it being an hourly bonus payment, it's just per day. So basically, and at the beginning of the job, I didn't know that, right?
Yeah.
So the first couple of days, I had sort of fun. There were a couple of people there that were very sort of lack consciousness, and I found it difficult to be around them.
Yeah.
But then I decided to enjoy myself, and the kids really made all the difference, and I had so much fun. And then all of a sudden, I talked to one of my other actors, and this topic came up that actually, no, the bonus payment is not for per hour, it's per day. So it's actually like half the amount of money that I thought I was going to get.
Okay.
And then this big thing happened, and I thought that actually for the first time I manifested something that's a lot better than what I've manifested before, and I was like, wow, really happy. Yep. And then that happened, and it kind of, my energy went, oh no, I'm back in the same place where I've been before, and I'm like working for.
You don't go there. So there's a few different things you can look at. So one was, when did you set your intent for the job?
Yeah, that was out of desperation at that time.
And when you set your intent for the job, did you do like a sacred container where you kind of listed the aspects around the job and describing the job?
No, so I wasn't specific enough. I just said
Exactly.
children, something long term. So all the other things, because it's also the people, it's not just the money thing, but also the people
Yeah.
that work there. That's like, not all of them, but some of them are really hard for me to be around, because it feels like my mind is so much bigger than where I am at the moment.
Yeah.
They're all very
Yeah, so what I would do, so don't see that as you not being where you want to be vibrationally, right? See that as the universe giving you a contrasting experience to help you become a better focuser and to help you become more clear in your intent setting.
So fine-tuning?
Fine-tuning, absolutely.
Because this situation has kept happening to me even after Cancun. I manifested another long job, but again, it wasn't amazing. And then I go back into this panic thing of, I'm still not there and I'm still not getting this. And then I guess
so again, when you keep thinking that you're not there, you're putting yourself in that energy of the problem again, right? So I would say intuitively, I sense that you're there. That situation may have been a reflection of a past vibration, right? So remember, what you're manifesting today is based on your vibration, maybe from yesterday, maybe from a week ago, right? So make sure you're not letting that create wobble that's pulling you down and making you think you're not where you're supposed to be, right? My guess is if you do some really good intent setting on your next gig, right? Again, hand it off to the universe, be effortless, let it go, be open, be specific about what the people are like, be specific about how much money you make, the length of the contract, and let it go and see what happens. And talk about, when you do your intent setting, talk about how satisfied you are with the gig.
Okay.
Use lots of emotion. A lot of people will talk about physical detail, but they leave out all the emotional aspects, which are more important.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It makes sense. And exactly what you said is right as well. When I got there the first day and I saw the people, although some of them are nice, but the way they're talking, and it's kind of like a real old me where I was like, I felt so far away from all of that. And then that's why being around them makes me feel really uncomfortable. And it actually makes me fearful, because I'm fearing like, oh, I'm going back, or I don't want to go back there anymore.
Yeah, no, you can never go back, right? And so you're in that gig for the month of December, did you say?
Yeah, for another 2-3 weeks.
Okay. And you're not in alignment with most people there, but can you find one person that you're in alignment with?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I've even managed to, with the people I'm not in alignment with, I can get myself to a place where I see something, where I get something positive.
Good.
Even.
And that was my next comment, is when you're there, put all your focus on the people that are in alignment, or the aspects around the other people that do feel so don't ignore the negative aspects and put all your focus on the positive aspects of the people that are there, right? A lot of people do that from a relationship standpoint. Is every time they meet a potential partner, the first thing they do is they pick at all the things they don't like about that partner, which is the opposite you should be doing.
That's exactly what happened. I went there, I was like, oh no, I heard that, and I heard them saying this, and I saw them, I was like, oh no.
Exactly, right? So that's what you want to stay away from.
Okay.
Right? Don't resist it. Be okay with the fact that they're like that and focus on the positive aspects. So
also not, because what I thought was, should I leave? Should I actually use it as an exercise and stay in it? And that's up to you. That's what you have to follow through here. Because if vibrationally being there and working yourself through it is going to raise your vibration, then yeah, I would say absolutely stay. But if it's going to pull you down, right, then I would say don't stay. Right? But it may be an opportunity for you to shift your vibration, because if you don't shift your vibration, you might fall in the same situation again and again until the right opportunity allows you to shift it. Right? So use your intuition. Okay. Does that answer your question? Yes, it does.
Good.
Thanks.
Thank you. Go ahead, Andrea.
Okay, so I think I forgot what I wanted to, my question was, but just also would like to share this epiphany that I had this week. When it comes to this resistance and, when we pinch ourselves off and the ways that we do it. So for myself, it was like, I heard, it's time now to just stop. Whenever you're feeling that pull, you're on Facebook and you're seeing that post about having that block or that block in your business or that block. Again, unless I actually stop buying into it and clicking on things, I'm just still perpetrating, and no, my movement isn't going forward.
Yeah.
Following me? Am I making sense?
Yeah, it's about being in the energy of the problem again versus the energy of the solution.
Right. Like how, yes, I don't have the problem anymore. I don't. And we have to remind ourselves to stop buying in. And this is why this is so brilliant, this program here, Nick, because it's all about the not about money, right? It's not about the problem.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So for sure, it's, for me, I have really become aware, and I'm so happy about how I pinched myself off, how I will always be a brilliant manifester, but I'm so clear as to how I was manifested and created everything on default that now I do it deliberately. And the results are just so rewarding to have that internal feeling and the seeing and the feeling inside.
Awesome.
And going through. Yeah. So thanks for letting me share. And I really had a lot of fun distracting myself. That I shared in the group last week is really when I just think I'm this karaoke rock star where my kids have banged on the door at 3 a.m. to tell me to be quiet. But it's a great way to distract yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, so thank you.
Good. Thanks for sharing. Go ahead, Letitia. Oh, you're still muted. Let me unmute your mic.
Oh, okay.
There you go. Go ahead.
Hi. I have a question. Well, actually, the week before Thanksgiving week, I felt like I've been doing the work, and I felt like I was starting to get aligned. I started, I was feeling very joyful. I was feeling things were kind of, just flowing. And then it seemed like that week of Thanksgiving, which is really busy for me because, my daughter's out of school and I'm the one who's basically, prepares everything for Thanksgiving. And, I had a couple of things that I had to do for my business that weekend. So I really was just kind of, as you guys, we say, is efforting everything, and kind of lost a little bit of traction because I was doing my meditation, I was doing my exercising, but that week it just kind of went south. Like I stopped doing everything. And then at the end of the week, I just felt really tired and felt like me doing meditation, me doing my appreciation was just a lot of work, and I'm kind of feeling like that now. And I don't know, besides going back to what I was doing before, which is meditating and doing my appreciation and, journaling, what other things can I do? Because right now I feel like I'm at that little blah stage again. Like I it was like kind of chaotic a little bit. And now I feel like I'm back where I was about a month ago.
Yeah, it's kind of that catch-22 where doing that stuff is what you need to do to raise your vibration, but at the same time, if it feels like effort, then technically you're not supposed to do it, right?
Right.
Okay. So my suggestion for you is cut yourself some slack, right? Mm-hmm. If you're feeling a little bit down, don't resist. Mm-hmm. If you're feeling a little angry this week or a little tired, let yourself feel it, right? That's okay. Negative emotions aren't an enemy. Right? They're not meant not to be experienced, right? It's part of the human experience, and they're there and they serve a purpose, right? So right. For you, I would say, let yourself feel the way you feel. Give yourself a break. Get some rest as much as you can. And then when it feels right again, start working your way back into those exercises, right? And if you can start, you don't have to do it all at once, right? If you can just start, tomorrow writing 3 or 4 things down that feel good, right? And as that momentum slowly starts to build, it should get easier and easier.
Okay. It makes sense. And I've been trying to do that, but I just find myself, just a little bit like frustrated, or, it's like, I don't want to sound bad when I say this, but it's like, I see a lot of people in my office with all this energy, and I'm like, shoot, I want to be like that. I want to have the energy. I want to feel like that, but instead I feel like,
you got to remember that everybody's got a unique footprint, right? So, you got to take so many things into consideration, from emotional baggage to momentum to circumstances to, you can't just look at one person and compare them to your journey, right?
Right.
The good news about contrast and feeling down is it is there to help you boost up, right? So it is there to serve a purpose, right? Unfortunately, sometimes we have to let ourselves go down to a certain low point before we can feel the drive to really pull ourselves out of it, right? And with the momentum work, I'm not sure how long you were doing the momentum work for, but typically most people tend to start to see bigger results at about 4 weeks. Usually after 2 weeks, it gets easier to maintain. And usually it's about the 4-week mark that you start to notice, quite a difference.
Yeah.
So, and you're definitely not the first person to fall off the momentum wagon. I can guarantee that. A problem I see with a lot of clients is after 5 or 6 months, they've been doing it so long, they've been feeling so high that they don't feel like they need to do it anymore. And then they kind of stop, and then they wonder why they're back down here again, right? And then they're like, oh, shit, I stopped doing my daily practice, right?
Right. And that's kind of how I felt, because I was like doing really good. I was doing my meditation. I kept feeling, just in a very good place. And then, that week was just, daughter's out, preparing everything, getting everything, doing the things for my business. And it was just a lot of work.
So you just kind of burnt yourself out a little bit. And like, the important thing is, don't feel like you're a failure for taking a break from it. Right?
I know I'm very hard on myself.
Yeah. So let that go.
Yeah.
Right. Because nobody keeps up their practice forever without taking breaks like that.
No.
Right. It happens. Same as going to the gym. Right.
Right.
So, be easy on yourself. You're already ahead of the game because you've already done more of a practice than most people do in their lifetime. Right.
Okay.
So pat yourself on the back, rest a little bit, cut yourself some slack, and start over again when it feels right.
Okay.
Makes
all right.
sense?
Good
luck.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Carolyn.
Talk a little bit more about the momentum of the desire already being there?
Yeah, so if you had a desire, if you manifested a desire right now, and you had 0 resistance to that desire, then that desire would show up pretty much instantly, right? So the amount of time it takes for a desire to show up is based on the amount of resistance you're holding, right? How heavily you're pushing your foot on the brake. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And so when it comes to intent setting, is it always necessary?
To set your intent for what you want? It depends on how you define intent setting, right? So you can set intent vibrationally, right? Maybe at a subconscious level, right? Without having conscious awareness. So I guess it depends on how you define setting intent.
Yeah.
Right? If you came to me saying that you want to manifest something specific, then obviously I would tell you to grab a piece of paper and write it out in detail and be clear about it, right? Otherwise, you're not going to get paid all the money you want to get paid.
Right.
I'm looking at Gabby. So the important thing about intent setting is being specific if you're consciously intent setting. But I think intent setting doesn't necessarily have to be a conscious process.
Okay, good.
Right?
I think that's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah, and somebody sent me a Bashar clip a couple of days ago saying that sometimes our intent is even less great than what our inner being even has planned for us. So it's about setting your intent but being open to what the universe wants to kind of deliver to you.
Awesome.
Cool. Answer your question pretty good?
Yeah, it does. I think I sent you that video too.
Yeah, I know. All right, thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, go ahead, Mark.
Hi. I need a moment, sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
I wanted to talk about slowing down the momentum. So I feel like sometimes I'm the one driving 180 miles per hour against the trees.
Yeah.
And then I'm the one who hits the brake really, really hard, and then nothing happens. And then I start to speed up again. So that's a pattern that I've realized. What do you suggest for that?
So are we talking about like negative momentum?
I think it's both, because I really have positive results, but then I hit some resistance that's on the way. So it's kind of a bumpy way, a little bit wobbly. So for example, I just did nothing, and I received a call, and suddenly I had 13 training days where I was having a great job, and then later on it took some really, really long time until I got paid. So it's stuff like that going on, and then I slow down, and then I feel like there's nothing happening, and then I get contacts, I get opportunities again after building up positive momentum again. And so I feel like I'm not really in speed control here.
Yeah, it sounds to me, and again, it's hard to tell without doing a bunch of digging work, but it sounds to me maybe like split energy.
Yeah.
So with the things that you're manifesting, are they things that you really, really desire, or you kind of want, but you kind of don't want?
Probably mixed. Probably, yeah. I think split vibration pretty much sums it up. So
yeah. So I would spend more time getting clear on what you want. Getting clear on the emotional set points you want to achieve, and spending time every day. Maybe 15 minutes to half an hour in a practice, reaching for those good feeling places.
Okay.
And again, same as with the conversation with Gabby. Getting really clear about what you want, and anything that tells you that you can't have that, dealing with those beliefs.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Question. Okay, good question.
Thanks.
Go ahead, Katie. Or Katie. Yeah.
Right. So what is the best way to identify those set points of vibration that are resistant that you don't know are running, kind of like the dishwasher?
Yeah, so the main technique I do in my digging sessions is looking at past circumstances and asking that question. So what was the worst part about that circumstance? How did it make you feel? Right? Especially like relationships, career situation. And again, when I do that exercise with about 80% of my clients, right, when I do that exercise, we notice a pattern with about 80% of my clients. The same one or two emotions keep coming up over and over again, right? If you find one of those emotions, that means it's a dominant negative emotion. And let's say you've got, you come up with the feeling of stuck, then you want to work towards the feeling of freedom, right? If powerlessness keeps coming up, then you want to start reaching towards the feeling of powerful, right? Another way to identify is look at a desire. So what is it that you want, right? So if you want money, I want money because I want to feel, right? See what comes up. So I want money because I want to feel free, right? So if you want a desire, it's because you want to achieve a certain emotional set point, maybe freedom. So if you're reaching for freedom, it means you currently feel stuck, right? Because every emotion, it's two ends of the stick, right? Happy, sad, powerful, powerless, right? Stuck, free. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Does that answer your question? Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, because when I think about it initially, it kind of feels overwhelming to like dig up all my past to try and find out. Like there is a common one that I think, but like, what if there's more than one? I don't know. It just feels like
yeah, most
weird.
Most people have one or two.
Okay.
You don't want to dig. You don't necessarily have to dig up your past.
Yeah.
Right. It's just about using, the knowing of past circumstances to identify those emotions, right? So you don't have to jump into the energy of the circumstances, just asking yourself how those circumstances made you feel. So try it with things like your career situation, the biggest stress in your life, your significant relationships, your money situation, physical issues. Physical issues, you can look them up in a book like Metaphysical Anatomy, see what the emotional root causes are. You can also ask, how does that knee pain make me feel? Right? How does it make me feel that I've got headaches all the time? Right? Or even if a certain physical symptom keeps occurring, ask yourself how you feel when that's the day or two around when that physical pain comes up.
Okay.
Right? The universe is always sending us hints and clues as to where we're at vibrationally, because it's responding to that vibration.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Does that help?
Yep, that's great. Thank you.
Perfect. Go ahead, Miss Sanusi.
Hi.
Hi.
So there's a few things that are manifesting and quickly too in my life currently, which is in alignment with the freedom I want to, that I want to experience and embody, like in my life and my self-expression. However, I find myself resisting. It's like counterproductive. I find myself resisting being fully unleashed, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Expression.
So if you were fully unleashed,
Mm-hmm.
what would be the worst thing that could happen?
What would be the worst thing?
Yeah.
I can't think of it.
Nothing pops into your mind? Or if you were fully unleashed, how would that feel unsafe?
If I were fully unleashed, how would that feel unsafe?
Correct.
Well, I feel I'd be like out of control.
Okay. So you've got this feeling of do you have a feeling of I'm out of control now, or lack of control, powerlessness?
No, I feel like I kind of control that.
Okay.
I don't feel like I feel like I'm in my own way as to really manifesting what I want in my life, and like I want to get that out of the way.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Okay. So let me get clear on what you're asking again. So you said you're afraid of unleashing yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you unleashed yourself, any fears around who you'd become? Or any fears around your identity?
Maybe my identity.
That's a common one.
Yeah.
Any fears around what will other people think?
Yeah, for sure.
Any fears around? Yeah, I mean, those are the two big ones that come to mind.
Mm-hmm.
But I would
think those two, because yesterday, while I was journaling, definitely my identity came up. Like, who am I to take this new trajectory in my life if who I know myself as is like professionally I'm an executive assistant, so everything's very meticulous, structured, and yet I find that could get in the way of all the creativity and spontaneity and fun that I want to have in my life.
Okay, so can you consciously acknowledge that other people have made a similar type of shift that you've made?
Mm-hmm.
So for example, my background is computer science.
Mm.
I spent 10 years architecting software. And now I mostly do emotional work with people. Right? That's what this work is involved. I have no psychology training whatsoever, right? But my computer background is what makes me a highly skilled EFT practitioner, because I know how people think and I know how to follow that path to identify those beliefs and those emotions, right? So can you see how your inner being is guiding you to where you want to go?
I see that.
Okay. And do you trust that your inner being put you on a perfect path to take you to where you want to go?
Yeah.
Okay, so can you just let all that stress go?
Yeah. I will practice that.
Yeah, and I mean, you're going to want to do some tapping work or some clearing work or some emotional work around those fears.
Okay.
They're fairly significant fears, even though they're fairly common fears, especially around topics like coaching and stuff.
Yeah, and that's the direction I want to go into.
Yeah, totally. So does that answer your question?
It does.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we've got time for maybe one or two more questions. Any hands looking to come up? Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
So what do you do when you have a topic and you know that you're kind of resistant there, but you don't know where to start? So I know I've heard Abraham say, and you too, to ignore that topic. But what if you have trouble to ignore it or it doesn't change?
Yeah, so the first thing I would do is I would look at around, so are we talking about an unwanted situation, for example?
Yes.
You don't want to be in?
Basically, for example, a relationship. So in my case, it's a relationship I think I'd like to attract.
Yeah.
But I have no unwanted relationship there. So that's something nice.
So you want a relationship, but it's just not showing up.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first thing I would look at is, okay, so let's do a bit of fun digging work. So if you were in that relationship, if that perfect person showed up tomorrow and they were interested in you, how would that feel unsafe?
Maybe there's the fear of losing freedom.
Okay. Yeah.
So it feels a little bit like bondage.
Yeah. So those are some of the emotions you're going to want to work on clearing.
Okay.
Right? And you can see here why the emotional aspect around this stuff is so important. So often with my relationship clients who have a hard time attracting somebody, it's because maybe, especially in their teens, they might have gone through a very rough breakup, maybe being cheated on, maybe being controlled, and their subconscious mind tells them that relationships are unsafe, right? Or if they were if their partner broke up with them unexpectedly, they may hold on to this emotion of, I'm unwanted, right? And if you're holding on to an emotion of, I'm unwanted, well, the universe is just going to reflect that back to you, so you're not going to meet anybody. Right?
Yeah.
So for me, the steps I would take is I would dig into what's going on in your attraction point, which is what we're doing now. I would give you exercises, some positive aspect lists to do every day.
Okay.
If you had that relationship, how would you feel?
Okay.
Right? If you would feel complete, if you would feel whole, if you would feel satisfied, I would spend 15 to 20 minutes a day getting into the vibration of those emotions. Right? And then as a client, we would spend time tapping out those emotions, those negative emotions as well.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Your question? Good, you're welcome. Okay, go ahead, Lynn. There you go. Hi, how you doing?
My question is around job searching. When you send resumes after resume and you either don't get called even for an interview, or you don't get the job, or it's worse than the job that you currently have.
Okay, so are you in a job right now?
Yeah, but I'm not very happy there.
Okay, so that's good. You're better off attracting a new job from being in a job than from being unemployed. Because if you were unemployed, then there would be financial desperation, and that would probably create more of a block. So you're already in a good position to attract a new job, so that's good. So what I would look at is, how does not attracting a job make you feel?
Unwanted.
Okay, so I would start working on that emotion, right? Start doing daily positive aspect lists to get into the feeling of being wanted, right?
Not good enough.
Exactly. Yeah, so identify those emotions and then start working on getting on the opposite of those emotions every day, right? Have you set your intent for what you want?
Kind of. I made lists, but maybe my negative thinking is what's not drawing it to me, because I'm so not happy where I'm at.
Yes.
So some days I dread going to work.
Yeah, so I would spend some time. So you want to spend time feeling better, right?
How do you do that when you're not happy?
So start a morning practice.
Okay.
We talk about that, I think, in the last video or in the first video. So start a morning practice. Start doing some emotional clearing work, because again, joy is your natural state, right? That's where we are when we're born. So it's the negative emotions and the baggage that we carry that pull us out of that positive emotional state. So the key to getting back up here is first and foremost, clearing out the negative emotions that we're holding. Then we'll stop being weighed down, and then you'll start to float back up. And then by doing positive aspect lists and positive thought pattern work every morning, that's what's going to lift you up. So what most people are doing is they're doing the morning momentum work. They're doing the work to feel good and focusing on the positive, and it starts to lift them up. But again, the negative emotions make it hard. They keep weighing us down.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a combination of clearing the negative emotions that are making you unhappy and doing that positive aspect work.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think our call from 2 calls ago was all about emotional resistance. So that might help you as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it's just I get discouraged easily. I'm like, oh, like I didn't get the job, or they're not calling me. And
yeah, so it sounds like a lot of efforting too. So what I would do is I would set your intent, write it all out, hand it off to the universe, and don't apply for any jobs in December. Completely let it go. Take a vacation from job hunting for a month.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, I'll take one last call. Go ahead, CG.
Hi, do you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, everybody. How can I stop resisting on the how? Meaning that I'm opening myself, with the vibration to get money out of my job, because I really need like $3,000 right now. Yeah. And I think that I cannot somehow let go on the how. How is it going to come? I mean, I'm not expecting any money from anybody. I'm not, so I think that I'm really on the how all the time. And I'm trying to let it go.
Yeah.
But it's hard for me. I think it's because I'm like maybe a control freak. I don't know. But
I mean, the how is going to keep you in the energy of the problem as well, right? Because if you're always trying to think of how, nothing's ever going to show up.
Yes.
Right? So.
And we're talking about like a 4-month, procedure, if I may say like that.
So do you believe in law of attraction?
I do. I really do.
Otherwise, you wouldn't be on this call, right?
Yes.
And do you believe that we earn through our vibration?
Yes.
And do you believe that if one person can find a $9,000 diamond on the sidewalk, that anybody can?
Yes, but maybe I put myself, not on that group of people. Maybe that's why. I don't know.
So do you think the universe says, you know what, we're going to send Nick an email with a bunch of money, and we're going to send Mark an email with a bunch of money, but that's CG. Nah, we're going to make her suffer.
No, absolutely not. I take it completely, my full responsibility.
Yeah. So what I would do is just try to remind yourself every day that earning and financial is purely vibrational, right? And reminding yourself that, you know what, efforting and thinking about and trying to make it happen hasn't gotten me anywhere in the last 4 months.
Yeah.
Right? So now it's time to try something new. And that something new is, you know what, just completely detaching from it. Working on feeling, if the money shows up, how would you feel, right? Freedom, right? Mm-hmm. Ease, relief.
Yeah.
Right? Work on being in the vibration of those emotions.
Okay.
Then your career, right? I tell most of my clients that their career now isn't what they're going to work for. Their career is to be a vibrational specialist, right? Make that your day job, right? And all you have to do is spend half an hour in the morning working on your vibration, doing the things that feel good, right? And then being open to whatever the universe wants to do. Tell the universe, you know what, universe, I love the money. I desire the money. You decide how it's going to show up and I'll take it.
Okay.
Right? And make sure you're in the energy of desire, rather than the energy of want. Can you feel the difference between those two? Desire versus want?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, being in a desire somehow it feels more like fun, I would say.
Yeah, desire is softer.
Yeah.
Right? So try to work on feeling on being in that energy of desire rather than the energy of desperation or want or need.
All right. Thank you.
Awesome. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Okay, so I don't see any more hands. Okay, go ahead, Gabby. One last really quick question.
Okay, thanks. So many things that have come up, so I'll have to choose which question. Hang on. Let's just choose this one. When Mark, I think, mentioned split energy, I find that in my work sometimes that I want something, but then I get very picky about things. So I want to do acting, but I don't, certain parts I don't want to play, and certain things. So I kind of find myself going forward and backward and da-da-da. Can one be too picky in terms of?
Absolutely, you can't be too picky. So when Anik manifested me, she wrote down 50 attributes she wanted in a partner, and I matched 48 of them. When I
be too picky, you said?
No, you cannot be too picky.
Oh, really? Okay.
I had a friend who wanted to manifest an apartment, and he wrote down, I think it was 16 things, and he matched 15 out of the 16 things. And I told him, wait, allow it to show up, wait, allow it to show up. And literally 3 days before he had to be out of his old place, his aunt showed up saying that she was dropping off some leftover lasagna and said, oh, do you know anybody looking for an apartment? I've got a friend whose basement apartment just came up for rent. And he had to be in a very specific area where he could walk to work. And that apartment was exactly where he wanted it to be. The only attribute that didn't match on his list was that he put down on his list that he wanted it to be free. So yes, be specific. Absolutely.
That's exactly what I did as well with my place. I manifested my dream place that I'm living in here, and it came 4 days before I had to move out, and I didn't. Yeah. So same thing. So I guess it's the same with my work, the same with a relationship. Just wait for
everything. Don't effort into it. Just let it be.
Okay, let it be. Good awesome. Final words.
Good. Awesome. Great chat, everybody. That's it for tonight. Thank you all for joining. That's it for today's episode. Thanks for listening, and much appreciation for everyone who jumped in on the call. If you want to participate in future calls, suggest a call topic, or be notified of our next episode, be sure to subscribe at http://InTheVortex.Party, or come hang out in our InTheVortex.Party Facebook group. If you enjoyed this podcast, feel free to leave a review or click the share button to share with others.